Greetings, my name is Neosekken, and welcome back to my Let's Play of Danganronpa Trigger Happy Havoc. In the last episode, we began the 5th class trial, and started to look into the identity of the mysterious masked individual whose corpse we found on the 5th floor in the garden, along with figuring out just who exactly killed them. And eventually, we've narrowed the suspects down to 2 likely people. That was Makoto, myself, and Kyoko. And after some back and forth between Makoto and Kyoko, we pretty much reached a point to where we were given an option to point out that Kyoko had access to a master key that would have allowed her to gain access into her room and thus hide some evidence that could implicate the killer for the mysterious masked individual in her room, thus pinning her as the blackened. But we had the option to not reveal the existence of this key during the trial and put our faith in Kyoko, believing that she couldn't have actually killed them. Whereas, if we chose to expose this key, we were presented with a bad ending where a prediction that Hiro made earlier came true, and that he and I shared the same mother and fathered some kids with her. A pretty, lackluster and admittedly kind of horrifying back ending. Back ending? Bad ending. What the hell's a back ending? So, after deliberately making that wrong choice, I made the correct one and chose not to reveal the existence of the key. And right afterwards, instead of Kyoko being implicated for the crime, like when I chose the deliberately wrong decision, Makoto was the one who was implicated as the blackened. So that pretty much revealed that the whole class trial was some kind of sham that was put on by the Mastermind. And it looked like we were done for, Makoto and I. But luckily, it looked like as though a remnant of alter ego managed to survive in the Mastermind's systems and basically stop the death trap that we were put in from killing us. And now here we are in the dump. A nice big dump. We even found this little rocket here from the beginning of the game. So, we got 2 options. Either just sit in here and starve to death, or try to find a way out. And I see a big door up there, so I would recommend that we try to find a way out of here. But first, I'm going to look around. Is that an airplane? How'd someone like that wind up in the school's garbage pit? Considering all the crazy shit we've seen with the executions up until this point, and all the lovely little bits of construction equipment, stage props, and a whole slew of other things we've seen, Makoto, at this point, I don't think seeing remnants of an airplane stuck in here would be too far out there compared to what we've seen before. You know what I mean? But that's just me. This is a desk. It's probably the one that fell down here with me. Well, I don't see any other desks, and hey, I just now noticed there's a tank in there. That's a rocket and a tank. I better not think too much about what I'm seeing down here. Suit yourself. Well, you and I are screwed, Makoto. Looks like the only way out of here is locked. It's locked. No matter how many times I pushed or pulled or kicked at it, it didn't budge. Okay, now here isn't going to be that easy. Well, if I'm not getting out of here anytime soon, we might as well become one with the garbage rats. I decide to look around for some food. There's plenty of food here, but it's all rotten. But that was pointless too. Next, I searched for some water. How can I be sure which liquids I can drink and which ones are an all-around bad idea? Honestly, I think it'd be safe to assume that all the liquids that you'd find down here are an all-around bad idea, Makoto. We are in a goddamn dump. God knows how many freaking bacteria and viruses and a whole bunch of other shit could be down here with us. So assuming we don't starve to death, we might catch something nasty that might kill us first. So, yeah, be very careful. Don't prick your finger on anything. Again, pointless. I feel like I'm blocked in on all sides. But that's still not enough reason to give up. Because I'm still alive! As long as I'm alive, I'll never give up! After making that proud declaration, the next thing I decided to do was go to sleep. Very strange way of expressing determination, Makoto. Maybe you can teach me other ways you can express determination. I'm quite curious to know. My sleep was deep and uninterrupted. That was my only way to preserve what little strength I had left, after not being able to eat or drink. I can't be sure, but I think at least a full day had to have passed. And all I did was sleep and sleep. It was like I was waiting for some kind of sign to come falling out of the sky. However, what fell from the sky wasn't a sign. Not exactly. What the? The strange sound pierced my silent isolation, jarring me awake. As I watched, the pile of garbage jostled and formed an odd shape. Did something fall down over there? Something fell from up above. What could it have been? Looks like just garbage to me, my friend. Did a giant piece of trash just fall down here? I carefully stretched my hand out toward whatever it was that had tumbled down here with me.
Just a second.
A giant piece of trash? Rude. Hey, Makoto. Either we're losing it, or this giant piece of trash sounds suspiciously like Kyoko. Before she even emerged from the pile of garbage, I knew who it was. It even looks like her, too!
Awful.
Well, save for the cup of noodles on its head. But otherwise, not bad. Not bad at all for a walking piece of garbage. This place smells awful. Kyoko!
Indeed.
Looks like you're doing better than I expected. What are you doing here?
So...
Isn't it obvious? I'm here to help you. I'm glad to hear that, Kyoko. You've got a bit of garbage in your hair? She gave her head a quick, sharp shake to get rid of the trash, then faced me again.
Hey.
If I were you, I'd get to a shower as soon at your earliest convenience. First, I have something for you. Go ahead and eat it. We can talk once you're finished. Please tell me that you kept this stuff sealed in like a plastic bag or something. Otherwise, I'm not touching that stuff, because for all I know, it could have touched some of the garbage that you were clearly stuck with. Thank you! I mean, not trying to be rude, but I don't want to catch something, you know? At least that's what at least if I were in Makoto's position. Makoto, though, if I'm being honest, he's so freaking average, he'll probably be fine. I snatched the bread and water that she was holding out for me. Within seconds, it was in my mouth and making its way toward my stomach. That really hit the spot. Now I've got all the energy I need to keep going. So you still haven't given up, then? Of course not. After all, the fact that I can keep going forward is about all I'm good at.
Hmm?
Well, that's not such a bad thing to be good at. Okay, I just wanted to see if I could check this out again. There's an unbelievable amount of trash here. What, no coins? Okay. But Kyoko, why'd you come to rescue me?
So...
To pay a debt. Or, no. To atone. Atone?
You...
During the trial, even though you knew I was lying, you didn't say anything. So, you knew that I knew. How could you not... And you find this surprising? Why, Makoto? I mean, this is Kyoko we're talking about. I think it's been clearly established since day one that she's pretty damn sharp and perceptive, and not exactly quick to forget things.
Indeed.
Unlike you and I. Huh. But even though I knew, I did nothing to help you. I abandoned you. Don't say that. You didn't abandon me. You're right. She kind of stuck a knife in our back a little. No, that's not exactly what I did. No, that's exactly what I did. I abandoned you in order to save my own life. You were trying to save me, and I couldn't bring myself to do the same for you.
However...
Well, to be fair, Kyoko, you're a lot more useful to this situation than Makoto will ever be. But listen, not that I'm trying to make excuses, but there was a reason I had to survive, no matter the cost. And what reason is that? Why'd you have to survive?
It's true.
I'll tell you. I'll tell you everything. The reason I have to survive...
In other words...
is so that I can do what I came to this school to do. And what is that? What? I made up my mind to come to Hope's Peak Academy for one very important reason. So you have some reason for coming to Hope's Peak?
Indeed.
That's right. At least I did. Once. Once? Until recently. I've forgotten what it was. You forgot? But that's... Don't you remember? She mentioned having amnesia. I had no memory of what my purpose... Okay, so that's what... Okay, you didn't forget. Never mind, Makoto. I'm sorry. Then... Is it really true? You lost your memory?
Makoto.
Do you remember, Makoto? Do you remember the first thing that happened to each of us as soon as we arrived at the school? First thing? You're talking about when we fainted, right? I fainted, and when I woke up, I was trapped here.
That's right.
I fainted too. And when I woke up, I noticed a strange feeling of separation within myself. A disconnect.
It would seem...
Thinking back on it now, at that point my memory was gone. At that time, I'd forgotten. I couldn't remember why I'd come to this school, and I couldn't remember what my ultimate ability was. But what would make you forget all that?
Hey.
Strange, isn't it? It's hard to imagine it happened by chance. It seems much too convenient. Are you saying you think you lost your memory because...
Indeed.
I don't think. I'm positive it was the work of the Mastermind. They stole my memory. But why would they want to do that? There's only one reason I can come up with. Because of my purpose and my ability. Somehow, they would interfere with the Mastermind's plans. So the Mastermind just stole them from you.
However...
And it could also mean, somehow, my memories may be connected to this mystery of the school and the Mastermind. Which is why I have to get them back. That's why I've been investigating things by myself this whole time. But if what you say is true, why didn't you ask the rest of us to help you?
Why is that?
If I did that, and we all worked as one, the Mastermind would have noticed right away. Plus, there's always the chance that the mastermind is actually one of us. What?
Correct.
Well, don't make too big a deal of it. It's just a possibility. But since it is a possibility, we can't ignore it, right? Mastermind. One of us. If she believed that, then of course she couldn't trust anyone around her. In which case, it only makes sense that she would look into her missing memory by herself.
However,
that being said, there was a limit to what I could do by myself, which is why I asked you to help me. But why me? Because among everyone, you were the least likely to be the mastermind. But that could very well be the idea, Kyoko. Maybe I'm the mastermind because I'm the one person that people would least suspect of being the mastermind. It'd be the perfect cover. I mean, a saltless salting cracker. You can't ask for a better cover than that. That was just intuition, but I see. Your intuition was right, though. There's no way an ordinary kid like me could have been the mastermind.
I understand. I should understand everything. My goal isn't to get out of here. It's to stay here.
So, Makoto, are you 100% sure you're not the mastermind? Because this little interesting flashback of yours does seem to allude to some great purpose that you seem very determined, that you seem kind of determined here to keep. That being staying here. And no one else has brought up even so much of a hint of anything similar to this, except you. It's just like that dream I had before, but why did that just happen? Probably because the writers want to cast some doubt as to whether or not you're the mastermind.
listen.
That's one theory, anyway. Are you okay? Oh, yeah. It's nothing. It is nothing, right? You wish.
Hey,
Even now, I still trust you, you know. It's just, I'm not used to relying on others.
correct.
I know I never asked you for your help the right way, so I understand if you're not convinced. Honestly, I was convinced. I think that's just her personality. You said you had a reason for doing all that investigating on your own. So, how'd that turn out? Were you able to remember anything?
So,
I think there's still a lot I don't remember. But at the very least, I was finally able to recall my purpose and my ability. And now finally, it looks like we're gonna figure out what both of these things are. So tell me your secrets. You mentioned your ability. My ability. What everyone should have known me for. I'm the ultimate detective. Okay, let's be perfectly honest, guys. Is anybody surprised by this revelation at all? I most certainly wasn't. I mean, I think it was pretty damn obvious what her ultimate talent was right around the time the first murder occurred. The ultimate detective?
correct.
And the reason I came to Hope's Peak Academy, there was someone I had to find here in the school. You had to find someone. Who?
So,
Well, it was the headmaster at Hope's Peak Academy. That would explain your shocked reaction back in chapter 2, I think. No, I think it was chapter 3, actually. When Alter Ego brought the possibility that the headmaster may very well be the mastermind behind our current predicament because, well, you probably remembered at least that much. Or at least something relating to that, even back then, didn't you? The headmaster. Why'd you want to find a headmaster? Because he's my father. Well, that's number one. That's a very interesting how you are apparently the daughter of the headmaster. And number two, that would also really explain what. That would also go further to explain your reaction back then. What?
In other words,
I was separated from him as a child. As it turns out, he became the headmaster of Hope's Peak. Kyoko's dad is Hope's Peak's headmaster? Then that explains when Alter Ego told us how he thought the headmaster was involved. I'll find a way. No matter what it takes, I will find the headmaster.
No matter what?
No matter the cost.
So,
My memory hadn't come back at that point. Alright, I forgot. It didn't come back at that point. But when he said that, I felt strange. It makes perfect sense now, of course, since my whole purpose for coming here was to find him. That makes sense.
However...
But listen, Makoto. I want to make this perfectly clear so there's no misunderstanding. I said the headmaster wasn't the mastermind, but I didn't say that to protect him. I only said what I felt based on what I'd seen when I snuck into the headmaster's room. Then, what did you see in there?
So...
The room had been ransacked. The shelves were a mess, the desk drawers dumped on the floor. The only conclusion is that someone who didn't know where anything was had been in there. You mean the mastermind, right?
It's true.
That was my assumption, yes. And to confirm my suspicion, I decided to investigate the second floor of the dorms using the key I'd found. But why there? Because I also found this in the headmaster's room. This is some kind of map?
Indeed.
It's a layout of the entirety of Hope's Peak Academy. I found it in the headmaster's room, along with Mukuro's profile and that key. The map showed that the second floor was home to a number of rooms meant for faculty use. Some of the staff must have had to stay overnight from time to time. And I figured the headmaster would have some kind of private room there. Reasonable assumption. I assumed that if that were true, that room would likely hold more clues. So I went to check.
Correct.
And that's when I finally remembered. I remembered that my purpose was to find the owner of that room. So you went there to see if the headmaster really did have a private room there.
However...
But once I got there, I noticed that the second floor of the dorms didn't have any cameras or monitors. That's very interesting, how that part of the school doesn't have any cameras or monitors at all. It's almost like the mastermind probably didn't expect us to ever go in there. So, what was it like? That part of the school, I mean. It's hard to describe. All I can say is... The moment I saw it, I realized... Whatever's going on in this school is more horrific than we ever imagined. What do you mean?
So...
I can't explain it. You need to see it for yourself. I'm sure you'll get your chance soon enough. If it's anything like that third classroom on the fifth floor of the school, then I think I already have a pretty good idea that something horrific happened at this school. That's probably worse than what we imagined. And yes, I actually know what the state of the second floor of the dorms is actually like, because I have played this game before. I'm just simply saying here that just from that classroom on the fifth floor alone, I think that by itself is already a pretty big hint that something horrific had to have happened in this school. It sounds like it must be important. And really ominous.
However,
Of course. Okay. Which is why I had no idea what was going on in the rest of the building. It had to do with Mukuro Ikusaba, doesn't it?
however,
Just to be perfectly clear, I didn't kill her. And I know it wasn't you either. I know you're right. But that just means everyone but you and me had an alibi. So then who did kill her? Well, there's one other person. The Mastermind, maybe?
anyway,
What I can say for sure is that the Mastermind is directly involved. To begin with, the point of the class trial of Mukuro Ikusaba was to get me killed. Get you killed?
indeed.
I stole that key and disappeared, and in retaliation they wanted to draw me out and eliminate me.
Correct.
That was the point of the class trial. It was? The Mastermind knew they couldn't interfere directly. You mean, because of the school regulations?
That's right.
Exactly. With regulations number 4. With minimal restrictions, you are free to explore Hope's Peak Academy at your discretion.
In other words,
The Mastermind is adamant about following the rules. And with that rule in place, they couldn't step in. I don't know. Looks to me like they're pretty okie dokie with trying to find loopholes around these rules. Never mind. That's not even a counter argument, is it? That doesn't invalidate anything. Never mind. Ignore me. Since they couldn't kill me themselves, they tried to use the class trial to do it. The Mastermind couldn't step in because of the rules? It makes it sound like the Mastermind themselves is somehow bound by the school regulations.
hey,
There's one other thing I'd like to point out about the murder of Mukuro Ikusaba. What's that? There was a point where Mukuro may not have become the victim. It could have been you, Makoto. Wouldn't that technically be true for anybody who was trapped here right from the get-go? I could have become the victim?
indeed.
No, oh wait, never mind. You're referring to that incident. You know what I'm talking about, right? Do you mean during the night? I can hear them, you know. The footsteps of the god of death. What? I can hear the god of death as he moves. That ability naturally draws me into cases, just like this.
Anyway,
Which is exactly what happened with you. I was in the dorms, and I had a sudden sense of dread. I looked down the stairwell, and I saw a white shadow cross the corridor. I gave chase right away. As I followed it, I saw the shadow go into your room.
correct.
I ran into your room, and I saw what was happening. I intervened immediately, of course.
However,
That wasn't the end of things, of course. I stopped them, but that led to whoever the masked assailant was, they ended up dead.
correct.
And their murder was disguised, and the dojo key wound up in my room. It all has to be the work of the Mastermind, in an attempt to use the class trial to eliminate me. So all this would mean that whoever killed Mukuro is also the Mastermind, right?
Indeed.
I don't have conclusive evidence, but that's what I think. But that's really bad if true. It means the Mastermind can kill whoever they want if they feel like it. But wait, but doesn't that create another contradiction? The Mastermind wanted to use the class trial and kill you because they couldn't interfere, right?
Correct.
You're right. That is a contradiction. And it's not just Mukuro. They needed the class trial to kill me, but seemed ready to kill you in your room. Everything they did is a contradiction. So, What does it all mean? Well, I would think, first and foremost, they're not as bound to the regulations as we initially thought.
In other words,
It means that the Mastermind is the one who's been cornered. Huh?
Makoto.
Just a little more. A little more, and I should be able to figure out the Mastermind's identity. The identity of the other ultimate despair. The other ultimate despair? There's no doubt that Mukuro was the ultimate despair, and that she's dead. But I don't think that, but I don't think the ultimate despair is just one person. It's not?
Indeed.
If you think about it, the ultimate despair seems to implicate whoever caused that event. You're talking about
That's right.
what happened a year ago. The biggest, most awful, most tragic event in human history. The tragedy. Whoever's responsible for that. They're the ultimate despair?
It would seem...
That despicable group whose only purpose and motivation comes from despair. Then they're...
Indeed.
Make no mistake. They're the root of all the evil that has forced us to go through this. That is the ultimate despair. And that is our real enemy. Chapter 5, 100 Mile Dash. Pain of a junk food junkie. Surviving students, number 6. To be continued. So basically, the other ultimate despair probably stabbed their partner in the back. The question is, why? You received the Dream Island rocket present. The ultimate despair. A group of people who caused a tragedy 1 year ago. Those same people put together this killing game and began broadcasting it around the world. The most desperately awful group of people ever. That is the Mastermind's true identity. Our enemy has finally been revealed. But right now...
Anyway...
Right now we have to get out of this horrible place. Figuring out the rest of the story can come after. I agree. I want to get to the nearest body of water and cleanse this filth off my skin. Kyoko, do you still have that one thing? Monokuma's secret tool that you got from the headmaster's room.
Indeed.
Of course I do. It's an absolutely vital part of ensnaring the Mastermind. I would never part with it. And it can open any door in the school, right?
That's right.
That's right. Then we should be able to use it on that door, right? Hey, Kyoko. We can use that key of yours to open this door, right?
It's true.
Let's find out. Kyoko took out the key with the Monokuma design on it and slid it into the hole. And then... Yes! It opened!
Indeed.
And now we can get out of here. Let's go. Sounds good. We quickly opened the door and made our escape from the garbage pit. Finally. We were finally free. But there wasn't even time to take a breath of relief. Because the real fight had just begun. Chapter 6. Ultimate pain, ultimate suffering, ultimate despair, ultimate execution, ultimate death. Deadly life. After leaving the garbage pit, we found ourselves in a tunnel extending straight up, like a chimney. There was a metal ladder leading up into the tunnel. We started climbing the ladder, intent on reaching the surface. The ladder was impossibly long, I couldn't even see where it ended. We climbed into darkness. The passage was so dark and cramped, I couldn't even see my own feet beneath me. I had no idea we were so far down, which kind of begs the question. Even though you... How the hell did you manage to survive your fall inside that bag of trash, Kyoko? Because if your fall was like, I don't know, 50 feet at least, I find it kind of hard to believe that even with a little bit of cushioning with trash, that you would be able to get out of a fall like that completely unscathed. Even if you landed on top of the other pile of trashes that we saw all around the place, the other piles, because looking at them, they're filled with all kinds of sharp edges and metal fixtures. You had to be really fucking lucky, indeed, to have landed in just the right spot, in the right way, in order to not have come out of that with any kind of injury. So, Makoto, looks like you got some competition in the lucky department. I had no idea we were so far down.
Hey.
Don't lose your footing. If you slip, I won't be able to catch you. Yeah, I'll be careful. But now that you said that, I'm getting kind of nervous. Then you better hold on tight you better hold on tight to the ladder. Maybe talking will help keep my mind off it. Kyoko. So Kyoko, there's something I wanted to ask you. You said you're the ultimate detective, right? So how long have you been doing detective work? How long?
So...
Ever since I can remember. I come from a long line of detectives. Detective work is in my blood. There was a time when being a detective was considered a sacred duty. My family's always seen it that way. Then, is your family famous?
Wrong.
Quite the opposite, actually. Even among actual detectives, many people haven't heard of us. Huh? But how come? It's like your family tradition, right? So...
Right.
Because we take pride in it. Pride?
Indeed.
A detective is neither light nor shadow. We represent neither justice nor evil. That is how we can uncover the absolute truth. We stand neutral in all things. And to do that, we have to stand separate from the rest of society. Which is why we made a conscious effort to conceal our existence. A conscious effort?
It's true.
It's kind of old-fashioned, and I can't say it's entirely rational. But it's our family creed, and we do what we must to protect it. Because, like I said, it's our source of pride. Pride. So that explains. Before I came here, when I was looking up info about the school online, I never saw anything about her. Because she hid herself on purpose, to protect the pride of her family.
However...
Guess that explains that mystery. And yet, I gave up some of that pride. Huh? In order to enter Hope's Peak, I had to reveal myself to the school. I did it knowing it was something a true Kirigiri detective would never do. But the reason you gave up that pride was to find your father. The reason you would go so far to enter Hope's Peak is because that's how much you want to reconnect with your dad, right? There's no shame in that.
What?
Reconnect? I had absolutely no desire to reconnect with my father. Huh? But you'd be reuniting after all those years, right? You would have had so much to talk about.
Wrong.
There's nothing I want to talk to my father about.
However...
There is something I want to say to him, though. What? No matter what it takes, I have to find him and tell him, face to face. What is it?
So...
I want to sever all ties with him. Sever? The last time I saw him, I was still very young. So I don't remember myself, but apparently he was extremely intelligent. He was in line to become the next head of the Kirigiri family. He was talented. He had a promising future.
However,
But he had no interest in detective work. So he cut himself off from the family. Not long after that, my mother died, and he simply ran away. So undoubtedly, you got a decent amount of resentment built up deep down for him. He went to my grandfather, and they had a huge argument. And young as I was, he left me behind. I'm sure there was a reason for that. I'm sure your dad wanted to take you with him.
right.
If that's true, then I need to thank him. Thank him for leaving me. Because unlike him, I take pride in the work I do. I take pride in my family name. So every last part of me is happy he didn't take me with him. If I'd gone with him, I never would have had the chance to become a detective. I was above Kyoko on the ladder, so I wasn't able to see her expression. So I couldn't tell. I couldn't see how she looked when she said that, what she might have been feeling. All I could tell was that compared to her usual self, she was more talkative and more emotional.
I
don't blame him, you know. He had his own life to live. That's what anyone in my position might say, right? But that's not true.
However,
There's one thing. One thing I can never forgive. Really.
so...
The way everyone else looked at me. I was never sad about being left behind. Like I said, I think it was a good thing.
However,
But when the rest of my family looked at me, they saw something different. They only saw me as the little girl that was abandoned by her father. That's how they see me even to this day. His shadow has been following me my entire life. I'm sick of it. I need him out of my life. I need to step out of his shadow.
Correct.
That's why I have to find him and tell him we're no longer family. How would that fix anything, though, is what I don't understand. Okay, sure, you find him, you reunite with him, and you tell him, hey, you suck, Dad. You've kind of made life more difficult for me than it needed to be by abandoning me like you did. So, fuck you. I disown you. How exactly would that fix the rest of your family's perception towards you? Like, okay, fine. Maybe you might get some kind of catharsis out of doing that to your father, but I don't see how that would do anything to change your family's perception of you as the girl that was abandoned by her father. That's still the reality of things. I don't know, it doesn't make sense to me personally. In order to settle the past, in order to remove him from my life forever, I have no doubt he forgot about me years ago. But your family, to just cut him out like that.
Wrong.
Our only connection is through blood, nothing more. Are we connected by heart and soul? No.
Hey,
Is blood really enough to call someone family? Well, if you ask me, not really. Only connected by blood, not by heart or soul. I was so shocked to hear her say something like that. I didn't know how to respond. So instead, I said nothing. I just kept climbing the ladder in complete silence. Like I said, really deep hole for you guys who have been talking this long and not have reached the top yet. And after I don't know how long, we finally reached the top. Looks like this is it.
Indeed.
On the other side of this door, Hope's Peak is waiting for us. We're back.
That's right.
Remember that hatch on the ground near the trash room? Basically, this is how you entered my hole. But then wait. Actually, no, that doesn't make sense at all, because in order to get access to this ladder leading up to this hatch, we had to unlock that door. No, wait a minute. Actually, never mind. That probably only just locked access to the ladder on the bottom of the hole. That doesn't necessarily mean that the whole tunnel leading up to the top was completely encased. And what I mean by that is, well, maybe the trash, there's probably some kind of slope or something that the trash could have just hit on the way down and then landed into the rest of the trash room. I don't know, something like that. I'm fairly certain that's where we'll come out. I unlocked it earlier, so it should open without much trouble. Well, here goes nothing. I reached my right hand up and pushed against the hatch. The hatch opened with ease. And so... looks like we're back.
Whew.
I can't believe how long that ladder was. I'm exhausted. I can't exactly say we're safe and sound, but at least we're out of there. Now we're back in Hope's Peak Academy. Kyoko, thank you. I never would have gone out of there without you. No thanks necessary. I was just returning the favor. Well, thank you all the same. This is how we got out of the garbage pit. I never would have imagined that's where this led. Well, that's your problem. That's your problem, Makoto. You lack imagination. This is the trash room. Dumping of the words. Got any coins in here? Nope. So, what do we do? Now what do we do? I'm glad I didn't die, of course, but if the Mastermind finds out... And I'm worried about you, too. You helped me, so they might...
Listen.
You're worried. Yeah, of course.
So then...
Then let's just get a concrete answer. Huh?
In other words...
Let's ask Monokuma if there's a problem with you escaping. Wait, that's...
However...
If we try to hide, it's only a matter of time till we're found out. And it's not like we can run away. As she said that, she pointed at the nearby surveillance camera. So you're saying rather than just stressing out over getting caught, we should just give up now? Don't worry. What you think is going to happen isn't. Because the Mastermind is the one that's ensnared. The Mastermind is ensnared. You said something like that before. But what does it mean?
So...
The Mastermind stood exposed during the investigation into Mukuro's death. There was a moment where the Mastermind let their guard down. There was?
Right.
If we can talk to Monokuma, we can confirm it. It'll be better for us if we go to him directly before he tracks us down. That should help with our negotiations. I'm still a little, super uneasy about this. But we really don't have a choice, do we?
Indeed.
Monokuma should be in the gym.
Shall we go?
Let's get going.
Shall we go?
To the gym. Okay, fine. Anybody out here? Nope. To the gym we go. I only wish I could see the Mastermind's actual face when they see us alive and well and right in front of their little robot-controlled bear. I bet it would be priceless. Oh, Mr. Bear! Guess who it is?
Well now, well now, well now, well now.
Hey, 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 hey! Kyoko, I don't mind so much.
I don't believe it!
But Makoto's supposed to be dead! What's he doing here? That's exactly how I thought he'd react. Really gonna be okay?
Boom, boom.
You were supposed to be punished! Did Kyoko help you?
What?
So what if I did? What will you do?
Shing!
If the guilty party is exposed during the class trial, they alone will be executed. It's unfortunate, but that is the rule.
Making me angry!
So now I gotta punch you again. And this time I won't leave anything to chance. Kyoko!
Right.
Do whatever you feel you have to. What?
However,
But before you do, let me say just say one thing.
now,
If you execute Makoto, that means you lose. Not that that matters to you, right? Huh? I lose.
Hey!
You! Explain yourself! What do you mean by that?
because
Well, you set up this latest class trial yourself, right? I was getting in your way, so you wanted an excuse to kill me.
in other words,
I was supposed to be chosen as the Blackened and then executed, right? Hey, what are you talking about?
however,
But when Makoto chose to overlook my lie, your plan came crashing down. The results of the trial weren't at all what you were expecting. Because you never imagined in that position, one person would protect another like that.
right,
And in response to that unexpected development,
indeed,
you reacted by proclaiming Makoto the Blackened and trying to execute him. You made the choice out of desperation. No, more than that. You must have realized that Makoto, who refused to be manipulated, was a threat to you as well. Your silence is deafening, Monokuma.
however,
But then there was another unexpected development waiting for you. An entity that would throw a wrench, so to speak, in your precious execution machinery. Alter ego. You never imagined the possibility of a being that could come to our aid even after you killed it.
am I wrong?
Now, here's the absolute truth. Makoto didn't kill Mukuro. You did.
Listen to me.
So executing Makoto for it would surely be a violation of your rules, which I know you love so much. If the Blackened is exposed, they alone will be executed. That's what you told us, right? And that means I lose. You talk a big game. You're saying the Blackened is me, and not Makoto.
Well?
And you can prove this, right?
Well,
No, I can't. Don't just say it like that! What is this, a comedy routine? To make such bold claims without a shred of evidence!
that doesn't matter.
I don't have any right now, but with a little more time I guarantee I'll find some.
That's right.
Because no matter how deeply you try to bury it, there is only ever one absolute truth.
Boom, boom.
And now you're trying to talk like some kind of famous detective type.
Because
If Makoto really was the killer, he never would have come to you willingly like this. He would have feared for his life, feared another execution. He would have tried to run and hide. He would have been gripped by the despair that you so love to inspire.
however,
But here we are, confronting you with nothing but hope in our hearts.
What the heck?
And that's supposed to be enough to convince me in the absence of evidence.
indeed,
It's not you I'm trying to convince.
Hey,
If you were to execute Makoto now, everyone out there watching this would be extremely displeased. Huh?
indeed.
And here is your trump card. Imagine what everyone out there would think if you killed Makoto. They would assume that you killed him because what we said is exactly right.
Listen to me.
Despair can never kill hope.
Hey,
Of course, you can say we're just making this all up. You're welcome to prove us wrong. No, you have no choice but to prove it. Because if you kill Makoto without proving your own innocence, you'll be accepting your own defeat. If you want to earn our despair fair and square,
that's
that
what
kind
we
of
have to
rhymed,
do.
then I suggest you take my advice. So, what is this advice of yours?
It's true.
To do Mukuro's trial over again. Only this time, you follow the school regulations to ensure a fair trial.
It's time for one last showdown. One final battle between hope and despair. Hey,
Well, that would make for a proper climax, wouldn't you say? Fair trial. One last showdown. In other words, this would be our chance to expose the true identity of Mukuro's killer. The Mastermind themselves! But what reason would the Mastermind have to accept the challenge? Kyoko just told him. If they don't concede to our advice, it would look very bad in the eyes of everyone who is watching. They'll probably just execute me without another word. Interesting.
Barrett!
Very interesting indeed. Barry?
What's wrong?
Oh, I was getting bored, so I decided to change things up a little. So, time for bear jokes. You're just nervous, aren't you? Now, what you suggested might be possible. It would certainly make for one honey of a climax.
in other words,
Does that mean you accept?
You guys!
If we do things your way, that'll be enough to convince you and the viewers, right? It would cause you unbearable despair, right? Then I'm prepared to agree to your terms. Will your hope win out, or will my despair claim victory?
I can barely contain myself!
Let's have one final grisly showdown! I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry, but all these bear puns are actually making me grin a bit, I'm not gonna lie. He agreed! Then we still have a shot at this.
Barrett!
But this is the long-awaited climax, right? Just guessing the killer is barely a fitting end.
You guys!
So for this final face-off, you'll have to unearth all the mysteries that have been buried here. All the mysteries? That's right. Every last mystery that's pawing around the school. If you can do that,
I can barely contain myself!
then I'll be enough to qualify as a victory for you. I forget. Koalas technically aren't a bear, right?
it's true.
Then if I'm right, then well, you kind of failed at your bear pun there, Monokuma. That's what we've been trying to do all along. Okay, well, good. Then let's bear it all. If you can claw your way to the truth of Mukuro's death and solve the mysteries of the school,
You guys!
then you win. But if you can't do all that, we'll all face execution, right? I can barely contain my excitement. When you learn the whole truth, what kind of despair will you show me? We're as excited as you are, I'm sure.
Listen to me.
When we've uncovered every last truth, how will the ultimate despair reveal their own despair? I honestly can't believe how this has all turned out.
Hey,
But before we get started, I want to clarify one more thing. Do you remember the rule? When one student kills another, that's when a class trial is held.
What's wrong?
I remember that, for sure. So what?
hey,
I just want to confirm, that is what you said, right? And it's a true statement? You don't have to be so suspicious. I've said it before, but it bears repeating. Everything is based on the school regulations. And having a trial for Mukuro is no exception to that. Huh? Mukuro's trial is no exception. Then, it's part of the regulations. Which would mean that whoever killed Mukuro is a fellow student. And since we're implicating you as their killer, that would basically mean you're a student too. It's a very polarizing approach, I know, but okay, enough puns. Anyway, here's a hint. I'm sure I told you this already, but this killing game began with 16 participants, all of them high school students. And the only people to take a single step in Hope's Peak since the killing game began are those 16 students. What?
listen.
Are you telling the truth? Why'd you go quiet all of a sudden?
Now I'm really angry!
I'm done talking! I've got nothing left to say to you! So get lost, would ya? Why so mad? He seems emotionally unstable. I don't think they were ever stable to begin with, Kyoko.
Hey!
Leave me alone! Get out of here! Okay, I'm going. You really gonna let me go? I don't even care anymore. You're all gonna get your punishment later anyway. I need to start getting it ready. A super duper extra special punishment, overflowing with despair.
Hey,
Come on, Makoto. Let's go. Okay. Monokuma's unstable laughter seemed to cling to us as we walked away. And just like that, we were out of the gym. Well, we now have the real endgame on our hands, ladies and gentlemen. It's literally all or nothing now. It was literally all or nothing the last 5 times, but this time it really is all or nothing by comparison. We either figure everything out, or we're fucked. I could hardly believe it, but somehow I ended up not getting executed. I still had my life, and we still had a chance. Overall, things turned out way better than expected. Once again, I was in Kyoko's debt. Thank you so much for giving us a fighting chance, Kyoko. You really are a true hero. Kyoko, thank you. Everything I have right now is because of you.
however,
Don't thank me just yet. The real battle is still ahead of us. Yeah, true.
whew,
But still, I'm glad it worked out. I wasn't sure if the enemy would accept my proposal. But honestly, why would the Mastermind agree to that? They don't stand to gain anything from a final showdown, do they?
so,
They had no choice but to accept. Huh?
because,
It's all because of that one moment that the Mastermind let down their guard, like I said. So when was it that the Mastermind let their guard down?
so,
I wasn't there to hear it myself, but do you remember what the Mastermind said? Whoops. They said they had hijacked the airwaves to broadcast our school life to the outside world, right? Yeah, they definitely said that.
listen.
And what did you think when you heard that? Pretty hard to believe, right? Well, I mean, the idea of actually taking over the airwaves seems so unbelievable.
Indeed.
You don't exactly read about something like that happening very often, so it's hard to imagine. In other words, that kind of thing is extremely difficult to pull off.
However...
And yet somehow, the Mastermind was able to do it.
In other words...
But think of it another way. There must have been some reason they had to do something that difficult. A reason?
So...
They had to show the world something, no matter the cost. Us killing each other. They wanted to show the world.
It would seem...
The Mastermind has been very adamant about not killing us directly, but forcing us to kill each other. And all their rules and regulations were designed to encourage that. Yeah, that makes sense. If those stupid regulations didn't exist, nobody would have killed anybody.
In other words...
So the Mastermind's goal was to make us kill each other and show that off to the world. But why?
Correct.
To prove a point, most likely. Prove a point?
Hey.
The outside world has a name for the students of Hope's Peak, right? A certain concept. You're talking about hope, right?
That's right.
And for those of us who represent hope to kill each other and sink into despair, that would kind of undermine the whole idea behind what we represent then, basically. If those of us who represent hope would basically kill each other when pushed far enough. The Mastermind wants the world to see that, to try and prove that despair is better than hope. That's their goal, as the ultimate despair. What? They want to prove that despair is better than hope? Well, if that's the case, then Monokuma was basically telling us the truth right from the very beginning, right in the prologue, when everybody asked him what did he want from them. They answered despair. That is all. That's because, yeah, that's literally all they wanted. There was nothing vague about it. They were actually being completely blunt and honest with us. They just simply want despair. They didn't specify whose despair exactly, just despair. But that's ridiculous!
It's true.
You're right. It is ridiculous. Completely irrational. It's the kind of thing that nobody but those who call themselves the ultimate despair would devise. That group whose only purpose and motivation comes from despair. But is that really their only reason for making the rest of us suffer?
Makoto.
I know how angry it must make you. And yet, that same motivation is what led to the Mastermind revealing their weakness. What?
In other words...
Because their goal is to broadcast this killing game to the world. The Mastermind has had to be more particular than is reasonable about their own regulations. Yeah, and yet, right from day one, they basically blackmailed Sakura into being an unwilling participant into their game, and would order them to kill somebody in order to help move things along. So right from the very get-go, this kind of shows that the Mastermind couldn't really rely on us by ourselves to really get the ball rolling, so to speak. I mean, yeah, history has pretty much proven that yes, they very well could have, but that's beside the point. So, yeah. This is kind of basically what I'm saying is, with actions like that, it kind of undermines the whole purpose of what they're trying to prove here. At least that's what I think. If the Mastermind simply ignored their rules, this wouldn't have been a game, but a one-sided slaughter.
At the very least.
At least, that's how those of us who are watching this would have seen it. And that's why the Mastermind couldn't kill any of us themselves.
Indeed.
And that's precisely the reason. No matter how much they may hate what I'm doing, I haven't violated a single one of their regulations. Junko broke the rules, so she was punished. But in my case, they couldn't lay a finger on me.
Right.
So instead, they tried to use the class trial, following all their proper rules, to get me killed. They began a trial that didn't have a right answer, then made me out to be the killer. But even that didn't work.
It's true.
Yes, thanks to you. And due to that failure, the Mastermind took yet another risk. They attempted to kill you instead, who also was not the killer. When that fact was exposed on live TV to the entire outside world, the Mastermind had to accept your suggestion.
Indeed.
To prove to the world that despair is better than hope, they have to defeat us in perfect form.
In other words,
it would only do the Mastermind harm to have it shown that they'd violated their own regulations. But all of that was a hunch, right? And if you were still able to get the Mastermind to accept your challenge.
However,
Well, it's only thanks to you that we got that chance. Because you believed in me, another path opened up. Still, I can't believe how much of the Mastermind's thoughts and plans you were able to figure out. I didn't have the slightest clue.
wrong.
In the end, though, I couldn't prove any of it. It was just my reasoning. Essentially, I was making a bet.
Whew.
But it looks like I got it right. This time, at least, I won the bet. She let out a quick sigh. I took it as a small sign of relief. To be honest, I haven't been that nervous in a long time. I totally couldn't tell you were nervous at all. You seemed totally confident from the moment we decided to go talk to him. Well, presenting a strong demeanor is a fundamental part of negotiation and persuasion, wouldn't you say? Plus, if I'd showed my uneasiness, they would have just made you that much more uneasy. That would have made you just more uneasy. Yeah, you're probably right. Pathetic.
However,
Anyway, we can't relax just yet. All we've done is earn our chance to fight. We have to win this time.
correct.
Or everything we've gone through will have been for nothing. You're right. If we can't defeat the Mastermind, it'll cost us our lives. There's no option except to win.
Hey,
But before we begin the final battle, we have to tell the others what's going on. True. But now we know who our real enemy is. All we have to do now is work together with everyone to destroy the Mastermind. Work together with everyone.
however,
Is that really possible? Huh?
anyway,
Anyway, right now we have to go find the others.
shall we go?
They're probably in the dorms somewhere. Shall we go? Yes.
Anyway,
Let's. And fortunately, I know exactly where they are. And suddenly, we were greeted with... I think we broke him. You again. Is he broken?
Whew.
I suppose his emotional instability reached its limit. Jeez. What the heck?
however,
I wonder what that was all about. I couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief. Ha!
Is that Makoto?
Yes, it is. How do you do?
You guys!
It is! There's no two ways about it. That's Makoto.
You survived?
Jeez, you're like a stubborn little cockroach, you know that?
Nice to see you too, asshole.
I'm just asking to make sure, but you're not a ghost, right?
Please, touch me. Touch me and get that question out of your head and get the answer to that question into your thick skull right here, right now, so I don't have to hear about it. Please. Everyone was there. All my friends who had struggled together and survived. As soon as I saw their faces, I couldn't help myself. I started to tear up.
What?
Wait. What's that smell?
What the heck?
Yeah, man, that seriously stinks. It's Makoto. He smells like a wet dog. Get away! Shoo! Shoo! And in a flash, my tears dried up. It's okay, Makoto. One of these days, you'll be allowed to cry proper. So, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go ahead and cut this episode off here, and we'll get to explain to everybody what's going on and what we have to do in the next episode. I hope you guys enjoyed this latest episode of Danganronpa. If you did and you want to see more content from me, feel free to subscribe to my channel. I will see you all next time. Take care.